going on, everybody? Today we are doing another and final Power Hour for the 2024 season.
The final preseason Power Hour rankings. We're doing defense and special teams. More so just ranking the defenses and uh, touching on the special teams, kind of mentioning them, but not really ranking the special teams necessarily. But like we said, we feel like it's important to touch on it because it's a big part of the game, and with the new kickoff rule, it's relevant, very relevant. So, anything interesting happened in the sports world today? I can share that my Packers, AJ Dillon, got put on season-ending injured reserve for a neck injury, which was kind of a shocker. I didn't know if he was going to be really much of a factor this year anyway, with Josh Jacobs showing up, and then we also drafted Marshawn Lloyd out of USC. And we also released Sean Clifford, backup quarterback. No surprise there after we traded for Malik Willis. Plus, we also still have the rookie Michael Pratt. So, yeah, couple not really huge things that happened this just today with my team, but yeah, anything you got, Kale?
Yeah, Tim Patrick is looking like he's going to sign with the Lions, and then Tooney
Practice squad, you said?
Yeah. And then Tooney got released today or cut.
Oh yeah, Kadarius Toney got cut.
Now the question is who's going to be the team that's going to sign him?
That's true. I mean,
it's going to take the bait.
I saw some stuff. They were trying him out at running back in training camp, and then they signed Juju back, and I just don't think there's any spot for Toney on that team. There's too many guys there just like him, the smaller, fast guys like Marquise Brown, Xavier Worthy. So, yeah, he's just a guy who can't hold on to the football. He can run like the wind, but can't hold on to the ball.
A Ravens assistant coach passed away.
I did hear about that too. I think I saw RG3 made a post about it on Instagram.
Oh.
Anything else, Kale, or do we want to get into this list for today?
Go ahead and get in the list.
All right. So again, we're going 32-1, just like we've been doing. So my 32nd ranked defense is the Washington Commanders. They are led by veteran linebacker Bobby Wagner. And then special teams wise, a player that sticks out is punt returner Jamison Crowder, who's also a backup receiver for them. But in terms of their defense, they weren't very good last year. They were near the bottom of the league. I think they were actually bottom of the league in terms of yards allowed, and near the bottom of the league in terms of points allowed, and that's why I had them at 32. So, Kale, what about you?
I had the Arizona Cardinals. I mean, there's not much to say about them. A new first-year head coach, a lot of room to improve on that team.
And wasn't he an offensive coach too? Yeah. They're kind of offense heavy right now.
It's gonna be a tall mountain to climb, that's for sure.
31, I had the Seahawks, led by free safety Julian Love, who was, I think, maybe third on the team in tackles last year. And then special teams wise, they're led by kick returner Laviska Shenault Jr., who originally was drafted by the Jaguars a few years ago. He's also another reserve wide receiver who is a kick returner. Again, it's kind of similar situation as Washington. They've got some guys. They got some talented players on defense. It could be a scheme thing from last year, but that's kind of a big reason why they missed the playoffs. I think they just struggled defensively, and it was also Pete Carroll's last year. He's more of a defensive-minded coach, and I don't know if he just was like struggling his last year there, or maybe just checked out at some point. But that's who I got at 31 is Seattle.
I have Denver Broncos. We all know that the rebuild is underway.
Yeah,
but there's that. I don't know. That defense has a lot to improve.
Yeah,
Mostly, it's mostly due to their salary crap. Salary cap,
Salary crap.
their salary cap is it's a mess right now.
Their salary cap is crap.
You know, a lot of people think Patrick Surtain the second is going to get traded.
And that's actually who I have at number 30 is the Denver Broncos, led by cornerback Pat Surtain the second, which he could or could not be traded before the trade deadline in the regular season. For their special teams, they're led by rookie wide receiver who's looking to start at kick and punt return for them, Marvin Mims Jr. But yeah, normally the Broncos are kind of known for defense, and lately that's just not been the case. Even last year, when Russell Wilson and the offense kind of started to get going a little bit, their defense struggled. So again, another team that was kind of towards the bottom in yards allowed last year, and yeah, there's just not much else to say about Denver in that spot. Who do you got at 30?
Panthers.
Panthers.
They had Burns and now they don't.
Yeah.
And the defense was pretty embarrassing last year.
Yeah, they were actually not that bad in terms of yards allowed last year. I saw that they were like top five defensive terms of least amount of yards allowed, but points allowed is where they really struggled. And at the end of the day, that's what defense is about: is you want to stop the other team from scoring. I've got 29. I've got the Chargers, led by veteran edge rusher Joey Bosa, and then special teams wise, led by kick and punt returner Darius Davis, another reserve backup wide receiver on the Chargers. Already shallow receiving core, but Chargers, obviously, defense has been the main reason they've struggled in recent years with their, even a couple of years ago, they made the playoffs led by Justin Herbert in the offense. And then last year again, struggled defensively. And it showed that Brandon Staley really wasn't the answer at head coach because, they brought in a defensive-minded head coach to help out the explosive offense they had, and they still weren't the defense they wanted him to be. So, we'll see that maybe they can improve it this year. I think they will with Jim Harbaugh head coach, but obviously they were not the team we all thought they would be with Brandon Staley and having that defensive mind at head coach. It wasn't the case.
I have the Commanders. I expect them with new head coach Dan Quinn. He's always been a defensive guy.
Yeah, he's a good defensive coordinator.
I think he led the Falcons to their first Super Bowl in a while.
Yeah.
Although they gave up a big lead.
28-3.
Yep.
Yeah, Matt Ryan won MVP that year.
I expect improvement from that team that year.
Yeah. Yep, for sure. 28, I got the Bengals. Again, another team. They struggled defensively last year. They were kind of towards the bottom in yards allowed, and I think kind of middle of the pack in points allowed. They are led by veteran defensive end Trey Hendrickson, and special teams wise, they are led by kicker Evan McPherson. Defense is kind of what stalled them. Obviously, Joe Burrow getting hurt stalled them, but then once Jake Browning took over, their offense still kind of clicked. Their defense is kind of what held them out from really winning down the stretch and making it to the playoffs. The AFC was also really loaded last year, and I think they'll be loaded again this year. Who do you got at 28?
The Chargers. I would hope, you hit it pretty well, but I would hope Jim Harbaugh, put some of these stats and rankings and stuff in their locker room. If I was Joey Bosa, that would pump me up. If I was Cleve Mack, that would definitely pump me up. And,
get out there and win some games, make the playoffs.
Special teams wise, they were not.
They should just be motivated. You don't want to waste another year of your talented quarterback's career. Like, they have Justin Herbert there. He's one of the most talented quarterbacks in the league. You don't want to waste another one of his years by missing the playoffs and having a bad defense.
Khalil Mack doesn't have much time either anymore.
No, he's getting up there. Same with Joey Bosa.
Yeah.
I'm not saying Herbert's getting old, but man,
and Derwin James.
You want to win while he's still there,
You can't forget Derwin
James, yeah. 27, I've got the Giants, led by linebacker Kayvon Thibodeau. Special
Thibodeau.
teams, led by kicker Graham Gano.
Gano.
A
Gano ain't too bad.
couple of years ago, their defense was really solid. The last year, the Giants were just a mess all over.
Yeah.
And Brian Dable is an offensive-minded coach.
I don't think he's gonna. I think he's gonna get canned this year.
We'll see how it goes, but their defense that has a lot of young talent, but sometimes young talent isn't the best. Sometimes you want a little more experience. So that's who I've got with 27.
I have the Titans.
Titans, okay.
They traded for Shaneed and a woozy. a woozy. I don't know if I'm saying that right.
I have the Titans. Where do I have the Titans?
And then they have Kawande Diggs. Veterans are in there. Harold Landry, Jeffrey Simmons.
Oh.
They also provide that steady leadership. And if they add a few more people, if they had the few more people they would have now on that team, I probably would have ranked them higher, to be honest.
Yeah. Who do you got at 26?
The Falcons.
Hmm.
They picked up New England's Matthew Judon. And that was still a surprising, shocking trade to me.
Yeah.
Then they got Justin Simmons, and which that gives them a huge confidence boost on that team.
I think New England will still be solid defensively this year, despite their lack of offense. Even though they got rid
New
of
England's really been known for their defense.
Even though they got rid of Judon.
Yeah. They've been really known for their defense.
Yeah, that's what they're really pretty much known for these days. I got the Cardinals at 26, led by free safety Buda Baker. Special teams is led by kicker Matt Prater, veteran old kicker Matt Prater. You talked about it earlier. They're just their defense has struggled in recent years because for a few years they were led by Cliff Kingsbury as their head coach, and he's total offensive minded. And they're offense heavy right now with Kyler Murray, Marvin Harrison Jr., and all those guys, Trey McBride, James Conner. We'll see how it goes. They just were, again, one of those bad defenses last year that gave up a lot of yards and gave up a lot of points.
Very unfortunate of what, could happen to them.
Yeah.
I have the Rams at 25. Special teams still is not too bad. They're pretty good. But with retiring Aaron Donald,
yeah,
that really, they probably were up there, and then Aaron Donald's like, hey, yo, dog, I got to quit. I got to retire. They plummeted down.
That'll be tough. Yeah, that hits them a lot because Aaron Donald, he makes a big impact. Carolina Panthers is who I have at 25, led by linebacker Shaq Thompson. Now that they got rid of Burns, and then special teams, I have them. They're led by kick returner Raheem Blackshear, who's also a backup running back for them. Again, they were just part of it all around, just bad team last year. They were not terrible in terms of points allowed. No, yards allowed, but points allowed was another story. So, 24, I've got the Eagles. Kind of a surprise, maybe, but Eagles offensively, they're set and ready. Defensively, there's some question marks. They're currently led by cornerback Darius Slay Jr., former Lion. And on special teams, led by kicker Jake Elliott, who I just recently drafted on one of my fantasy teams this year.
Don't forget, Monday we're drafting.
That's right. That's right. But yeah, the Eagles, they struggle to play that hard-nosed defense, with that high-powered offense, and that's kind of what happened last year. Partly they struggled to find their identity offensively, but they were still able to make plays just because of the firepower they had and the weapons. Defensively, they struggled, and it showed in that playoff game against Tampa last year.
I have the Giants. They,
Good old New York Giants.
they got Brian Burns. So that's a good pickup for them.
Yeah, that's true.
The secondary is equally as untrusted or untreated, I guess. Or no, untested. I mean.
I bet it was a solid linebacker.
Yeah. You said that Dabo could be, he's more of an offensive minded guy, but he could be doing something where he's trying to, who knows?
Dable.
Special teams, I haven't seen much of the special teams, so I can't really give you an opinion on that one.
Graham Gano is a pretty good kicker. I mean, they
You can play for the Bengals.
used to play for the Panthers.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
I got the Colts at 23. Defense is led by D tackle DeForest Buckner.
I also have the Colts at 23.
So they were kind of just hum ho defense last year. Colts are just kind of the definition of average last year, all around, offensively and defensively. I haven't really paid attention to what they've added defensively this offseason. I've paid more attention to their offense, but as far as I can tell, I mean, DeForest Buckner is one of the better D tackles in the league. Buckner, DeForest. Special teams wise, they are led by kicker Matt Gay.
Nice.
They are.
Shout out to Pat McAfee. I know you'll probably never watch this, but shout out to you.
Yeah.
For the brand.
That's right. You said you also have the Colts at 23.
I mean, you hit it on pretty well. I don't know.
22, I've got the Jaguars led by edge rusher Trevon Walker. Special teams, they are led by return man Devin Duvernay. Again, their defense kind of let them down the stretch last year with Trevor Lawrence being hurt and banged up. Their offense struggled mightily, and their defense couldn't bail them out in some of those big games to try to make the playoffs. So I think they'll turn it around this year, but right now, I mean, until they actually prove us wrong, I think they'll have a lot of those same struggles.
I have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
I have them next.
Todd Bowles knows how to design defenses. That's where he came out of and came up from. They re-signed Antonio Winfield Jr., so that's a big pickup for them. You got some young talent on team with some people that been there for a couple years, and they got Levante David still,
who's been there forever.
Still a dog.
Yeah, they are led by veteran linebacker Levante David. Special teams led by wide receiver and punt returner Trey Palmer.
Yep.
He's going to be the number 3 wideout for them this year, like he was last year. But he's also probably going to start at punt returner and return some punts for them. So he's an explosive guy. He's fast. He can catch. Defensively, I mean, they've been solid. There's just a few games last year that I think they could have helped out the offense a little bit more. So that's why they're at 21 for me. Who do you got at 21?
I have the Raiders.
They
have Raiders. The best probably edge duo they have was
Max Crosby is a stud.
Yep. And you can't forget Wilkins.
No.
But I think Antonio Pierce is probably going to motivate the fuck out of the whole team.
Especially defensively.
But I think there's going to be improvement on that defense this year. They were tough when we played the Lions.
Yeah. They usually will have a solid defense. 20 is I got the Rams, led by linebacker with the retirement of Aaron Donald. Obviously, they're led by linebacker Ernest Jones IV, who led the team in tackles last year. And then they are led by Xavier Smith on the special teams side of things as a return man. They'd be a lot higher if Aaron Donald was still there. I'll admit it. I have him at 20. I'd probably have him in my top 15 at least if Aaron Donald was still there, or top 10 maybe. Aaron Donald make that big of an impact. He's one of the best arguably one of the best defensive players of all time, maybe even the best.
Yeah.
So that's who I've got. That's the main reason I got the Rams at 20.
I got the Jaguars. It's a whole, their unit just seems like they're gonna have a good year. They're gonna expect it to improve. Um, they have one of the best young rushers is that Josh Allen,
Yeah, that's true.
Joshua Allen, or whatever you want to call
Yeah,
him.
Josh. Yeah,
And then, they added Eric Armstrong and then
yeah.
Darby.
Josh Allen and Trevon Walker.
Yep. I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't really pay attention to a lot of special teams, so that's why I haven't been saying special teams very much.
I don't really. I'm just kind of pointing out who they're led by, who their special teams unit is led by, whether that's a usually. I mean, for this list, it's either been a kicker or a return man. 19. I've got the Titans. They picked up cornerback L'Jarius Sneed from the Chiefs, and he's gonna
You could have Sneed.
lead their defense this year. Special teams are led by kicker Nick Folk, who is a older kicker in this league, one of the older ones. He's been around a long time. That's I mean, you kind of hit it on the head earlier with the Titans. I mean, it's there's a reason why they're kind of on the up and up with the acquisition of Sneed, but they've also struggled. They struggled last year, uh, supporting. I mean, they had Derrick Henry on offense. They've had these guys offensively, and that's kind of a big reason Mike Vrabel got fired is because he was supposed to be that defensive minded guy, and they still struggled defensively. So they just struggling to get that right scheme in place. Maybe they'll get it done this year.
Him one more year.
I think so. I thought he was a hell of a coach, but
I did too.
I think we'll see if they can get it done this year.
I got the Vikings
at 19.
Yep. They lost Hunter, so I mean, they had to replace him. They did it with Andrew Van Ginkel, if I remember, and Gennard and whatnot. But Brian Flores, I think he has something really good going on in their defense over there.
Mm-hmm.
They just need to work on their cornerback room and and help. Their group of safeties are very good as well.
Jonathan Bullard is pretty good D end. That's who I've got. I've got the Vikings at 18, and they're led by kicker Will Reichard on special teams, the kicker. 17, I've got the Lions, led by edge rusher Aiden Hutchinson. Special teams led by punt returner and also slot receiver on offense, Khalif Raymond.
I didn't do my 18.
What?
I didn't do my 18.
Oh, do your 18 then.
I just had the Saints. They got a good group of some people on that defense. You got Lattimore. You know what? I forget that Tyrann Mathieu is still on that team.
Yeah, he is.
And hey, guess what? They added Chase Young.
Cameron Jordan.
And they added Chase Young,
who's
still a hell of a player. They could probably get up there next year a little bit. Maybe.
Yeah, I got them middle of the pack. Gate. We're kind of to that middle of the pack part of the list now. I've got the Lions, like I said, at 17. I mean, they're not as complete as the offense, but obviously good enough to get them to the NFC Championship game. They were just kind of middle of the pack in both yards allowed and points allowed last season. But Aiden Hutchinson, he really, I mean, he's just a dog
really
on that defense
last year.
He's going to be the heart and soul of that defense moving forward, and I think they'll be solid this year. I know I'm not really looking forward to playing them, but they'll be a tough squad this year.
I have the Bengals. I think they're just going to be, all around good. They've added Sheldon Rankins, and then they lost DJ Reader to the Lions, who's hopefully going to play this year.
Yeah.
But
Trey Hendrickson is pretty good. Yep. D lineman for them.
Trey Hendricks still that good player. Number 16, I have the Green Bay Packers. Uh, I think it's they got some people in there that can make plays, but I feel like they're missing some things. You got Quay Walker in there, and you got Kenny Clark, and you got Jareer Alexander, who's still been there for years.
We've got some talent. It's just getting the scheme right. We got a new D coordinator this year
You
too.
also got a new safety, like Xavier McKinney. So
Yep. 16. I've got the Raiders. Edge rusher Max Crosby is the leader of that defense, and special teams wise, they got Amir Abdullah as their kick returner, who's he's kind of been a bust in terms of his career as a running back coming out of Nebraska, but he's
he's
been a salt.
done all right
He's a
lately.
good change of pace guy, but he's been better as a return man throughout his career. A solid kick returner. So he kind of leads that special teams unit. Um, but yeah, Max Crosby's a dog. At that edge rusher spot for the Raiders. Um, and I think they will with Antonio Pierce. He's going to make sure him being a former NFL linebacker, he's going to have that defense ready to play in the black and silver. So Raiders at 16, middle of the pack. 15, I got the Steelers led by edge rusher T.J. Watt, special teams led by kick returner Cordarrelle Patterson. Uh, T.J. Watt again, he's one of those dogs in the league. He's just one of the best, if not the best, defensive player in the league. He's up there with guys like Max Crosby and Myles Garrett and Micah Parsons and Joey Bosa, Nick Bosa, those top edge rushers. And the Steelers are known for defensive football, so
Oh yeah,
they're not ever going to be ranked
hard
like
nosed,
super low.
hard nosed defensive football.
Yeah, they're known for playing hard nosed defense, running the ball on offense, and just that's their brand, old school football. And they always seem to have a solid defense. They're never going to be ranked towards the bottom of any defensive list, in my opinion. So, and Mike Tomlin knows how to get it done with his defenses. So that's who I got at 15.
Number 15, I have Detroit Lions.
One pride. Yeah, Jared Goff.
We added Arnold in the draft this year. I think he's gonna be a stud that's coming out of Alabama. We added Carlton Davis. He's gonna be also a stud for us. But a lot of Buccaneers fans are like, he's slow. He's not very good. He's very slow. But Aiden Hutchinson, he is that defensive line and is the defense.
He's slow.
We added DJ
He's
Reader,
slow.
which is really good, and Marcus Davenport. Special teams wise, I think we're finally getting figured out a kicker with Jake Bates out of the USFL, the Michigan Panthers, and that dude can kick a fucking ball like he was Alex Henry kicking balls.
I'll tell you what, that dude can kick a fucking ball. He's like, he can kick that fucking ball.
You see that ball right there? That boy right there can go boom with that ball.
What do you feel about Khalif Raymond as a punt returner? Shifty little guy.
He's a shifty little fucker.
Yeah.
Amon St. Brown can come in there too.
Yeah, he could. I don't think they'll use their number one receiver.
They have,
returning
but
kicks.
if it's desperate,
If it comes to that point, they will, but not like on a regular basis.
No. But you know what? There's actually some people like Marcus Washington. Not Marcus Washington. There's a player named something Washington. I can't remember his full name, but he's from the USFL and he's gonna probably
Cool
do it too. Or Tim Patrick, but if you get
True. I don't see him as a returner though. He's too tall.
We'll see.
Returners are usually shorter guys, but what do I know? 14, I got the Texans, led by D end Will Anderson Jr. Special teams is led by the kicker Kaimi Fairbairn. Solid unit from last year. Who's their head coach? Their head coach is a former defensive player.
What team again?
The Texans. He had their
Marcus something.
He had that defense playing really good last year. And I have him led by Will Anderson Jr. and D'Amico Ryans.
Oh yeah, D'Amico Ryans.
Yeah, I was thinking DeMarcus Ware, but it was D'Amico Ryans. He used to play for the Texans too.
I think it was DeMarcus Ware. Probably been a bigger deal that he got signed.
Yeah, DeMarcus Ware was a stud, but D'Amico Ryans, that's who it is. But yeah, Texans are a solid unit. They got J.J. Watt in the building right now at Texans facility, so I don't know if he's maybe helped coaching him up a little bit.
He should come back. I think he still play well.
Seen recently, he's really getting in shape, like from a physique standpoint. He's looking like a bodybuilder these days.
That's typical retirement now. They lose all that weight and stuff. They don't need to use it anymore.
Yeah,
Or some people want to try to become almost like bodybuilders or stronger.
it's a different style of training, different body type.
I think the person that really started that trend was that one Joe Thomas.
He lost a lot of weight after
Yeah.
his playing days.
I think ever since then, a lot of players have been following his steps.
Yeah, but J.J. Watt was always in pretty good shape.
I have Buffalo Bills.
14.
Yep. Um, they have a lot of good players left on their defense over the years. They have caused
Von Miller's not even a starter for them. He's not listed as a starter.
really.
Nope.
But you know what? They have a lot of young talent on there. Sean McDermott could probably get it done and make them good players.
Another defensive minded guy. I've got the Packers at 13, led by corner Jair Alexander. Special teams unit is led by return man Keyshawn Nixon, who's also a backup DB. Like you
Ty
said,
Montgomery, huh?
what's that?
You got any Ty Montgomery's laying around?
Yeah, Ty Montgomery. Yeah, one good year as a running back, as a they switched him over from wide receiver to running back in 2016. He led our team in rushing. We ran the table, and then the next year he was crap. He never redeemed himself. But like you said, we got a lot of good talent on our defense. We just need to shore up the scheme. I think the new DC that we have is going to help with that. But yeah, Kenny Clark, Quay Walker, Rashawn Gary, Jair Alexander. We got all these different. We got Eric Stokes, Darnell Savage, like you said, Xavier McKinney. There's a lot of solid players on this defense. Rashawn Gary is Preston Smith. Can't forget him. He's kind of that new Rashawn Gary. He's that edge rusher guy that we need to. He needs to come up big. I could go on, but they played okay down the stretch last season. Obviously, they played great against a very good Cowboys offense in the wild card round last year. And that's also just typical playoff Cowboys. Dak Prescott choking. So we'll see. I think they'll be much improved this year, but as of right now, just outside the top 10, that top 15 range.
I have Seahawks. They have a new defensive tackle that's a rookie, which his name is Byron Murphy, and it gives their new first year head coach a plenty of room to work with him. So I'm sure that he's going to get their boys over there motivated and try to build around that defensive line there.
Mm-hmm. I've got the Saints at 12, led by Cam Jordan. Special teams are led by one of their wide receivers, also return man Rashid Shaheed. But yeah, the Saints. They're not. I mean, they were finished. They finished again about middle of the pack in yards allowed last season. They just. I mean, I don't really have much to say about the Saints. Really, they weren't really a solid unit last year. They were okay towards middle of the pack. We'll see how they do this year. They're kind of a tough team to read going into the year because I don't know. They've been an odd team ever since Drew Brees looked retired. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, They've been a very odd team.
It's just hard to get a real gauge on them and what their identity is.
Number 12, I have the Eagles. Or not Eagles, the Miami.
The Dolphins.
Yep. You know, they lost Christian Wilkins last year. That was a big hurt. Um, they added Jordan Brooks, Kendall Fuller, and Jordan Poyer to help, you know, their original people that are there on the offense or defensive line.
You got Bradley Chubb.
Yep. Bradley Chubb.
Chubb.
I think he played for the Lions for a little bit.
Played for the Broncos, I know. Are him and Nick Chubb related?
I think so. I think they're cousins. Yeah.
Number 11, I got the Bears, led by linebacker Tremaine Edmonds. Special teams unit led by kicker Cairo Santos. Bears usually always have a solid defense to back up their terrible offenses throughout all of time. And that doesn't change here. They're fringe top 10. Yeah, got the Bears at 11.
I have Eagles. They got, you know, defensive line, Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis, and, you know, like you said, you got Darius Slay back there still.
Yep.
Vic Fangino, you know, great defensive coach.
Yeah.
Very great defensive coach. So I think he's going to help them get it done over there.
10, I've got the Falcons, led by DN Grady Jarrett, who's getting older. Special teams unit is led by kicker Younghoe Koo. Really one of the better kickers in the league. I think they've had a pretty good special teams unit.
Yeah.
In recent years. Part of that's to thank Younghoe Koo, for being such a great kicker, and also they've had Cordarrelle Patterson returning kicks in recent years, and they won't have that this year. He's with the Steelers now, but yeah, I got the Falcons at number 10.
You got the Bears. Jalen Johnson, you know, he was pretty good last year. And, you know, they got Kevin Byard, Brisker, and then TJ Edwards and Montez Sweat and Tremaine Edwards, or Edmonds, I mean.
Sweat.
Those guys are pretty good. So I expect that team to be really good and like a top defense this year. Number 9, I got the Texans. They had a hunter from the Vikings, but lost Greenard and Alze Ashir came over, you know, from Tennessee. So I think it was a good little upgrade for them.
Number 9, I've got the Dolphins, led by linebacker Bradley Chubb. Their special teams unit is led by return man Braxton Berrios. Solid unit last year. They obviously played really well against some pretty decent offenses. They, as far as I can remember, they played the Cowboys pretty tough in one of their games. And the Cowboys, again, were one of the more explosive offenses last year. But yeah, I got the Dolphins at number 9. Number 8, I got the Patriots. Losing Matthew Judon hurts.
I have Patriots 8 too.
But they do have free safety Jabril Peppers.
He's still in the league.
He's still in the league.
Holy shit.
Special teams are led by return man Marcus Jones. But yeah, Patriots that's something they've always kind of had, even back in the Brady days. They always had a solid defense, really. I mean,
Gerard Mayo was in the Brady days.
yeah, he was one of those players, and now with him being a head coach, I mean, defense is his forte. He's gonna at least try to make sure they have at least a solid defense and supply their rookie quarterback Drake May or whoever is at quarterback. They're going to be an old school team, I think, this year. Play defense, run the ball on offense.
On the bear.
Ramondre Stevenson at running back, whoever plays quarterback, and yeah, they always do a good job at playing good defense, and you can actually attribute a lot of those Brady Super Bowls to solid Patriot defenses. So,
I mean, you hit it pretty nail on the head, so I don't have to give mine.
Number 7, I got the Bills, led by corner Rasul Douglas. Special teams is led by return man KJ Hamler. Bills played some solid D last year. They did. It's part of the reason why they made that push towards the end of the year to make the playoffs, win the division, and host a couple playoff games. They inevitably ended up getting upset by the Chiefs at home. They still have yet to beat the Chiefs in the playoffs in the Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen era. But yeah, I got the Bills at 7.
I got the Chiefs.
Nice.
When you think of the Chiefs, you think of offense, but
Defense is what actually carried them last year, honestly.
yeah.
Yeah.
You got Chris Jones and Trent
Yeah.
McDuffie now, and
Chris Jones is a stud.
Sneed, so I mean that was a big loss.
But yeah, when you hear Chiefs, you think Mahomes, you think Kelsey, you think Andy Reid, and you think offense. 6, I've got the Ravens. Ravens have always been known for defense. Back in the Ray Lewis, Ed Reed days, Terrell Suggs. Now it's Roquan Smith leading them at linebacker. And then they have the best kicker in the league in Justin Tucker leading their special teams unit. So that's a big plus for them. Probably one of the better special teams units in the league. Ravens have such a complete team. Their only biggest weakness is their receiving core on offense. How about you, Kale? Number 6.
I got the Steelers.
Nice. Another AFC North team.
You know, they got TJ Watt. They got Joey Porter Jr. Pretty good edges there. So, I mean,
Pretty good.
But Mike Tomlin, he's a defensive guy, so you hit a pretty good nail in the coffin there with their exclamation. So
Number 5, I got the Cowboys,
I have them at number 5 too.
led by edge rusher Micah Parsons. They didn't look all that great last year in the playoff game, but throughout the whole year they were solid. Obviously, they've got Parsons at edge rusher, but also Trevon Diggs at corner. Those are really two of the best at their positions in the whole league. And really, on paper, they're set up to do really good again this year. So we'll see how it goes. There's always big expectations for the Cowboys, and they always undeliver or come up short every year. So you said you had the Cowboys at 5?
Yeah.
Any input?
They got new defense coordinator Mike Zimmer, who's pretty good defense. So I mean,
special teams wise, they're led by return man Kevontae Turpin. Number 4, I've got the Niners.
I also have the Niners,
led by edge rusher Nick Bosa. They have a lot of good defensive pieces there. Fred Warner at linebacker.
He's a dog.
He is a dog. He's a 100%.
Scary dog.
Yeah. Special teams wise, they're led by kicker Jake Moody. And I mean, the 49ers, again, they have maybe the most complete team in the league. And it was offense and defense, like just solid on both sides. And I think they'll be again one of the more dominant teams in the league again this year.
Yeah.
Even though Kyle Shanahan is a
offensive guy, but he's doing pretty well.
He's an offensive guy, but
I think he's becoming more of an all-around coach.
He is.
Number 3, I got the Browns.
I got the Jets.
Oh.
Jets led by cornerback Sauce Gardner. They got some other good pieces. Quinnen Williams on that defense. It goes without saying, they've won 7 games the last 2 years with no offense. Like they win that many games because of their defense and the other talented guys on the offense, but like no quarterback play. And the special teams wise, they're led by return man Xavier Gibson.
Yep.
What about your Browns take on number 3?
All I'm going to say is Myles Garrett is that defense, and he's the reason why they're good.
Myles Garrett is that dude. Number 2, I actually have the Chiefs, led by DT Chris Jones. Special teams is led by kicker Harrison Butker. Losing Sneed will hurt at the cornerback position.
Sneed.
L'Jarius Sneed. But defense is the reason they really went as far as they did last year. You think Chiefs, like I said, when you think Chiefs, you think Mahomes, Kelsey, and that Andy Reid offense. And that really wasn't the case last year. It was a lot of defense, Chris Jones, and those guys keeping them in games. So that's what I got at 2 is the Chiefs.
You got the Jets.
So you got the Niners at 1.
No,
What do you have at 1?
I had Ravens.
Oh, you already had. Oh yeah, you already had. I thought you didn't do the Niners yet.
No, I did it at the same time as you did.
I have the Browns at number 1.
But for the Jets, I mean, you hit it pretty good. They got C.J. Mosley, Quincy Williams, and they also got some good pass pro rushers.
Sauce
Hassan
Gardner.
Reddick and Quinn Williams. So
I got the Browns at 1. They were the top ranked defense last year in terms of yards allowed, and they're led by edge rusher Myles Garrett. I mean, what more needs to be said? Myles Garrett is the best edge rusher in the league. I'm pretty sure he won Defensive Player of the Year last year. And special teams wise, they're led by kicker Dustin Hopkins. And that's really all there is to be said about that for me. Number 1, you got the Ravens.
that team defense always been solid the last few years in defense.
That's something. I mean, defense and Ravens. It's just they're synonymous with each other. Same with the Steelers.
Yeah, they although they lost Patrick Queen last year, so I mean that was kind of a hard loss on them. But they also lost their D coordinator. But usually that defense is pretty good on the front 7 and the secondary.
For sure, yeah. Especially that front 7. There are just so many great players, Hall of Fame players that have played for them throughout the years. Ray Lewis, Terrell Suggs, Haloti Nada. Now you got Roquan Smith.
Ed Reed.
Ed Reed's in the secondary, yeah.
I think he's probably one of the best defensive player they ever had. And that's saying that over
one of the best safeties of all time.
Yeah.
That's not a hot take. That's just fact.
Yeah. Somebody would get like, what do you mean? I'm a Ravens fan for life.
What do you mean? If you're a Ravens fan for life, you should know Ed Reed was that dude.
Yeah. He was that guy.
He was totally that guy.
But it was weird when they
traded him. It was always between him and Troy Polamalu for best safety in the league.
And then they traded him.
The Texans. I remember that.
Didn't he play for the Jets?
Ed Reed?
Yeah.
He might have. I know he went to the Texans for sure.
He was a dog on the Texans too.
Yeah. That's back in like the early 2010s, I think, when they were, or it might have been mid 2010s.
I think it was mid.
Because they had some good teams early 2010s and then mid 2010s.
Well, Texans mid 2010s, they had Andre Johnson and Matt Schaub, and they were doing very.
That was early
well.
2010s.
That's what I mean, yeah. I think Ed Reed was on that team.
Mid 2010s,
they were unstoppable force
on defense. Quarterback, they couldn't really figure it out. They had like Brian Hoyer, Brock Osweiler, Tom Savage, Ryan Mallett, guys like that. Until they drafted Deshaun Watson,
who played.
And then
well.
they're like, we finally found our guy. And then
he played great for the Texans for a while.
He did. He was one of the best quarterbacks in the league.
And he got hurt.
1 year, it was him, Mahomes, and Lamar, like the next generation of NFL quarterbacks.
Then he found the massage parlor.
Yeah, what an idiot, man.
He wanted his dick sucked. So I mean,
he did.
He fucked up.
He did.
So this has been quite a fun, quick episode of Power Hour.
Yeah. It was a fun series. Obviously, you guys can probably tell which positions I pay more attention to than others. Quarterbacks and running backs are kind of my thing, and
next year,
and then receivers a little bit more too.
I think next year's list will be better because I mean this is the first year we're doing this. So.
Well, yeah.
If you go to their playlist,
I'm also just being real with them too.
Yeah.
So
we have also added all these episodes to our Power Hour episode playlist. So if you want to go back looking at these from the quarterback to secondary or defense to special teams, they will be in there. Got some NFL games starting this week.
Next week.
Yep.
We got Ravens Chiefs on Thursday night.
Yep.
My Packers play the Eagles in Brazil Friday night. Kind of weird week 1 Friday night NFL football, and then from there, it goes to Sunday. Sunday fun day.
That's when you get a bunch of games.
And then there's always 2 Monday night games the first week.
I think we're going to be starting our new series next week as well.
Who you got?
So it's going to be a series of maybe it's going to be 30 minutes to an hour, maybe a little bit longer. Who knows? So we got to do the first 2 weeks because I'm going to be gone for 1 week.
Yeah.
That way it doubles it up. And then if a loser of that week loses, then they'll get the Cologne shirt. I think we've decided what we've done for the award for that one. I think we're going to be doing like a little trophy that I'm going to be making.
Yeah.
Don't know what's going to be called yet. But it's a very special trophy meaning to me and my fiance, wife, whatever you want to call her. I mean, we've been together for years. It's not that football, so it has a football involved, obviously.
I didn't say it was this football.
No, I know. I thought you were going to say football or something. So
football.
It's been a great
It's
episode.
football season now, guys.
You expect the boys to be busy.
I'm sad for summer to be ending. People are complaining about the heat, but
I'm excited for the beers and barbecues for football.
I'm excited for football year. Unfortunately, that's synonymous with summer ending. Sad face.
The cooler weather.
I do like fall weather.
The cooler weather.
I feel like it never lasts long enough, and then we get winter, and then all of a sudden snow's flying through the air.
When
Can't stand it, man.
you wake up in the morning, it's nice and cool, and the leaves are ground, it's cloudy. It's gonna be a good day of football.
Yeah.
Got a lot of things planned for you guys. It's just gonna be time and money. So, for me wise, because I gotta set it up in my own house. I don't have much else to say. It's been a long damn day.
It's only Tuesday.
I know.
All right. Well, thanks for tuning in to Power Hour.
Don't forget to like and subscribe.
Don't forget to like and subscribe to our page,
Also,
Age of Life Media Group. Check out Touching Base, Useless Assumptions, Talking Dirt. Check them all out. We got a little bit of everything on Age of Life Media Group. So check it out. Peace out. Bye.